Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 207 of the LTG show. My name is Sean Wilburn.
I'm Tony Hannity's.
And I'm Radford Castro.
And we are here to talk about technology and the latest technology of the week. Now, this is the podcast for the website, lazytechguys.com. This is a place where you can go to get great information on, reviews on tech gear, as well as stuff about video games and other tech information like mobile and more. So go ahead and visit the website, lazytechguys.com. Also, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at comments@lazytechguys.com, or you can give us a call at area code 707-722-5299. Now, this is a live podcast that we normally do on Tuesday nights, but this is a special one. We're doing this on Wednesday. Why are we doing this on Wednesday? Just how the schedules kind of wind up, like the universe and stuff.
Because Stone Cold said so.
There we go. Stone Cold said so. There we are. So we're recording this Wednesday, but this is still a live show with a Q&A. So if you're watching this, feel free to join in, ask us questions. We will go ahead and address them. We're going to be talking heavily about Windows 10 today. And with that, I'm sure you guys will have many questions and many concerns like we will, and we're going to discuss them all and all that good stuff. But before we do any of that stuff, how the heck have y'all been doing?
Chilling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with you, Tony. Anything interesting happened this week, or?
Yes.
Oh, what happened?
Well, long story short, we finally got registration for my wife's truck, so she can drive on her own now. We don't want the carpool, and I'm gonna miss the carpool, but then it's much gooder now.
Congratulations.
Much gooder.
So now, does that mean you can play the music you want to play as loud as you want to play it without any problems?
Well, the beautiful thing about our relationship is we have the same interest in music. So for the most part, she's fine. She's always fine with whatever I play. So.
Well, good job then. You scored. Brad,
Yeah.
how you doing, bro?
Chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging. Just doing the thing.
Buzzing.
I know, right?
Yeah, I bet were you like when this Windows 10 thing, were you like chomping at the bit, waiting to hear it, or were you hanging out?
No, I'm just thinking, man, did I just miss the freaking Giants game? Dang it, 'cause, man, I was like working so hard, and I was like, oh man, today is the freaking wild card game.
Oh, that's right. Reminds me. Let me go.
So I cannot see any scores right now if someone don't say anything.
All right, I will look at the answers though, and I will know the answers. As we're talking here,
Right.
Just keep in mind, I know what happened already.
So do I.
Okay. Okay, don't say
Anyway,
anything. I don't care if it's bad.
The
Yeah.
A's beat the Bulls.
Dude. Anyway, so as far as I've gone, I don't know, haven't done anything. Still playing as Sean Wilburn, the Arkansas Razorback. Second season. He is now at the BCS championship game again. This time, I forgot who we're gonna beat, but we're gonna beat the crap out of him.
So y'all beat Texas Longhorns last week?
Exactly. Then we went through a whole second season. I broke even more records. I'm such a great quarterback.
Are you living your life vicariously through him?
Well, that's the greatest thing about video games in general. It's like many people play them for different reasons, but one of the coolest things about like those BF promos like Madden has and the MLB The Road the show has and all these have is you can pretend to be this thing that you normally can't be. And you know what? Why not be a NCAA Heisman award-winning quarterback?
Why not?
Why not? And you never know. It's if out of school, I would never really attend, so it's fine.
And then back in real life, it's like, oh man, the car's outside the garage.
Dude, I got a car cover.
Too much work.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's enough. We're done hanging out. We actually got a serious talk, Windows 10 to talk about. But since the show's on beyond one topic, we're going to do things a little different. We're going to talk a little bit about this little thing called Audible. Why? Because we want you to check them out. Because after this, it is pure Windows 10. So before don't fast forward this. I want you to listen to every single word we're going to talk about. Why? Well, because it helps us out. It's a really cool service, and it's something that we want you to check out. It's free. We're throwing you a little freebie going your way, so you get something free out of the deal. It's all around a good deal. So this URL right here, audibletrial.com/lazy. Once again, audibletrial.com/lazy. Drop that into your browser, whether it be Chrome or whatever else that you happen to use. Firefox isn't too bad. Actually, I've been using that a little bit lately. Been enjoying that. But you go ahead and drop it in there. Go ahead and sign up. And what happens is you get a chance to join a great audiobook service that allows you to check out the latest, newest releases, bestsellers, and all these great literary books that are now read to us in, well, vocal form, read by professionals, and really allows us to listen to books and enjoy these in different things. Like, Tony, you commute to work, you go all around Northern California, right?
That I do.
So for people, like, if you commute a little bit, you could finally enjoy the latest Grisham novel while you're driving from Petaluma over to Sacramento and enjoy it. And then with features like WhisperSync, you can even link it up to a physical copy of the book that works with a regular Kindle and more. And this doesn't just work with a Kindle. We're talking Windows Phone, Android, iOS, and more. So really cool service. Go ahead and sign up. Check it out. I guarantee you'll enjoy it, and you'll enjoy your free book. And you know what? When you stay a member, you get other free books, you get discounts, you get all these great little perks. So it's audibletrial.com/lazy. Sign up. Go ahead, check it out. Enjoy it. Once again, it benefits us. It benefits you. It's an all-around win-win situation. Go ahead and check it out and sign up. All right. Now, 10. Now, Tony, would you like to go ahead and do the quick introduction about what was and what they talked about, what they announced, and then so we can go ahead and get deep into the discussions? Or
I thought we were doing Fire Chat first.
Oh, that's right. Never mind, Tony.
We're doing Fire Chat.
We wanted to mention something before Windows. What was that you wanted to mention?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, there's these there are these protests. They're not riots, but there are these protests that are happening in Hong Kong at the moment, and there's like over 100,000 residents or people that are like in the streets peacefully protesting against the government, trying to make it more of a democracy versus how China is. In any event, when you get a bunch of people in the same area, cell signal can go down. Also, the Chinese government have blocked certain access to websites, like you can't even go to Instagram, and there's fear that they could even block the internet. So communicating amongst a whole group is very difficult. Now, a company called Open Garden, and I actually had the pleasure of meeting the CEO of Open Garden back in like 2009, I think, 2009, 2010, created this application called Fire Chat. It's available for iOS and Android. It's free, and it's your run-of-the-mill group messaging app. And what makes it different is that not only does it work over cellular data networks, but it also works in a mesh-style network over Bluetooth. So if you just kind of imagine you are a node, the guy next to you is a node, and your Bluetooth signal can reach about 200 feet. So as long as someone that you're communicating with is within that radius, or if someone is in between you two that you can piggyback off of, you can still send him or her a message. Also, Fire Chat has Fire Chat groups. I think they call it fireside groups, but they have different chat rooms, if you will. And about 100,000 residents have already downloaded the app. And originally, the app was kind of devised for concerts, things like Burning Man or Coachella, where cell signal is really, really hard to get, and so this would allow you to find your friends and things like that. But the fact that it's being used in this peaceful protest and hopefully won't be disabled, because I think I heard that if you put out enough interference to the Bluetooth signal, because Bluetooth is just it's 2.4 gigahertz. That's all it is. So if you put out enough interference, you could interfere with that. But as long as they don't, these organizers that are trying to get people in line and trying to organize where they're going to do the protests peacefully, it would allow them to continue to chat. So I thought that was a really interesting, cool idea. And the other thing too is you can sign up with a fake name. Obviously, they don't care. That's all anonymous if you like. And because if you do it in the mesh network, none of the stuff that you talk about is backed up to any kind of server. So you could be as nefarious as you want and say, let's go over there and kick some butt. Or you could do the exact opposite and just say, yeah, let's go over there and just stand and look pretty. But it doesn't matter because Open Garden or the government isn't going to be able to look into those chat files, so to speak. So I just want to bring it up because I thought it was a really, really cool idea. And beyond the whole protesting situation that's happening in Hong Kong, this is a great idea. And I know they also did try it at Burning Man, and it seemed to work fine over there too. So I know a proponent of mesh networks is another colleague of ours, Mr. Ken Harrell, and he brought up mesh networks to us back in like when I first started with LTG, like 2010, I think. And the concept of it was still fairly new to the novice tech user, but now it's kind of getting a little bit more headway, and something like this is bringing it to the forefront and possibly going to, give people other options on communication other than just using like Snapchat or Facebook. And I don't know, I thought it was cool. What do you guys think?
I think it's a very cool concept. It's something that's been around for a while, but I think if anything, Ken Harrell would. I wish he was on this show to give a little bit more insight on it. It's something I've been curious about for a while, but for the most part, when I used to do networks and things like that, there was a lot of complexity behind all of it. But I wish I could chime in a little bit more on it. But it's definitely interesting nonetheless, and something I'm willing to explore more especially after listening more about it. So.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it, except for, well, I don't not sit here trying to have any kind of riots or anything like that, but at the same time, hey, it's a good way that people can communicate, and well, I'm happy we have it.
Yeah, it was just one user that basically said to the whole group, hey, in the event that internet connectivity is impossible to use, let's all download this one app.
Yeah.
And as long as we're together, we can relay off of each other within that radius, and we can all still communicate. And then the install base just kind of blew up from there. So
it's nuts.
Yeah.
All right.
Now
that we meshed it all up, now let's go ahead. All right, let's talk Windows 10, guys. So they officially have a preview. They went out there, they talked a little bit about it. They didn't give the full introduction of Windows 10 because they are making it very enterprise, or at least they're talking some very basic enterprise ideas and some, I guess, what do you say? Just kind of like the ideas and like direction they're heading in here. So, Tony, what do we got going on?
Yeah, so Terry Myerson and Joe Belfiore got in front of about 50 different representatives from the press and some enterprise companies, and basically showed off the first steps into Windows 10. And they kind of joked about the name. They said, the next obvious evolution of Windows would be Windows 9, but we also wanted to take into account there's Xbox One, there's OneDrive, there's the whole Windows 1 kind of forethought. But if you think about it, there's already been a Windows 1, which was the first Windows from Bill Gates. So being that this is a huge release for not only computers and from the enterprise standpoint, this is a release that will cover everything from the Xbox to tablets to phones and even Internet of Things, even things without screens. And so kind of separating themselves from 8 to a certain degree, plus there's also a rumor that we'll talk about later why they call it 10. It basically says this is it. This is the biggest release of Windows to date, and this matters that much. With that being said, this was an enterprise-focused event, and the reason why not twisted, but the reason why they what's the word I'm looking for? They spun it that way is because Windows 8 was Rad, maybe you can attest to this, they went to developers more so than to the actual end user. So from the developer standpoint, they said, okay, we're going to make it like this, and we're going to have a store now, and the users are going to be able to download from the store just like they do on their iPhone and Android phones. So they're used to that idea of downloading apps, and it's going to look like this. You have a split screen, and it's like, okay, developers, they might buy into that. But they completely forgot about the business user. They completely forgot about the power user. And it went from desktop focus to Metro/modern tile focus. And when people that are brand new to Windows 8 downloaded Windows 8 or got a brand new computer with Windows 8, it was like, what the heck just happened? And so essentially with Windows 10, it's going back to being desktop focused, but not forgetting the good parts of what came out of Windows 8 and 8.1. So some of the things we've already seen from Build 2014, one of which was the Start menu is back. Now talking about the Start menu, if let me see here, I have right here. So I'm going to share this screen. So if you're watching live, this is the new Start menu. This is where essentially it's a mock-up of the Start menu, but from your desktop, when you click on the Windows icon, you're going to see your run-of-the-mill Start menu that gives you not programs, but they call it all apps, but it's going to encompass your apps from the App Store as well as your programs in alphabetical order. You'll have your most recently used applications right under your name, and then also pinned apps. So in Windows 7, that was kind of a new addition. I don't know if it was in Vista, but I definitely know it was in Windows 7. You could pin apps to the Start menu, so you can always access that. But then next to it, instead of having a completely separate interface with tiles, you can add tiles directly to the Start menu, and the more that you add, the wider that's going to be, and there's even going to be a scroll bar at the bottom if you so choose to use that. Now, one thing that they didn't really mention, though, this might be part of Continuum or not, but one thing they didn't mention is if you're someone like myself who's gotten used to the Start screen, I believe they said that they're going to give you an option if you want to do the Start menu or just do the Start screen. So I don't know if that's true or not. That was kind of part of the pre-developer build, but we'll see. The other big thing that they announced was the ability to run your Metro or modern applications on the desktop in a windowed environment. So right now, if you open up Mail or if you open up Bing Weather or Bing Sports, it's going to be full screen, but as an app, and there's not a real easy way to have that in a window side by side with maybe something else on the desktop. I mean, you can do it, but it's not dynamic. It doesn't shrink the desktop too well. And anyways, this would allow you to have Mail on the desktop as well as maybe like the Netflix app, as well as other desktop or x86 or x32 applications like Word, Excel, Photoshop, all within the same desktop. And they were showing how easy it is. Like you would open up Mail just like you would normally open it up, and then you would essentially click on not the minimize button but the resize button, and it would shrink to show the desktop in the background, and thusly you could snap it to one side, snap it to the other side. And if you snap two apps together, if there's a gap in the middle between the two apps, it would automatically fill that gap with a more prominent application. And then there was another really awesome feature that they showed off, which essentially allows you here to do a 4-box, and so that's what I was basically saying. On one desktop, you would be able to have your X8, you would have your X32 apps or programs as well as your Windows apps on the same screen. Another thing that they mentioned, and Rad, I don't know if you want to chime in at any point if I'm skipping over something, but another thing that they mentioned was the virtual desktop. So right now, if you're like me, I used to have like 3 screens. Now I'm down to 1 due to just size of where my desk is. With Windows 10, I was going to say 9. With Windows 10, you're able to have multiple desktops on the same screen. So what that means is essentially when you do Alt-Tab, it allows you to tab between the different programs that you have running currently. But then there's also going to be another similar Alt-Tab function that will allow you to change between different desktops. So if you kind of think about it, if you've ever used an Android phone or Android tablet, you have different home screens, and each home screen you can dedicate to be just music, just games, just social network. I mean, that's how my home screen is on my phone. And so if you take that concept into practice on the desktop, you would have that ability as well. In a virtual environment, because they're all running at the same time, but they're not tiled behind each other. They're literally, you can actually spread them apart into different desktops um, uh, separated from one another. And the nice thing too is if you're done with the desktop, like you're done you and your social networking desktop, you can close that desktop, and all those apps in the desktop would also close. Let's see. What else did they talk? Red, I don't know if...
You want to just talk about those items right there we just discussed, and then we'll move on to other features here in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start here. So first thing you mentioned, the start menu, the blending of they did with the home screen as well as what they look to be what Windows 7 start screen. So right off the bat, I actually like what they've done. It seems like they put things in here. Like the first thing I like how they point out is the fact that the power button and the sleep button, all that is a button that we all can see as clear as day right there on the top of it. I was like, oh yeah, smart idea. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Smart. All their quick to eat apps that are quick to quick, like what do you call it? Quick access apps. You can just drag things to and from it the way that we're used to doing it. In a very simple way. I liked how they showcased that. And then even worse, they were still a dynamic tile, so they were still doing the little dancing and moving around and stuff as you were hovering over them. So, my first impression, I like the new start window. I actually thought it was great. The and a search thing down there that actually does what you want it to do, search.
Right.
So yeah. So my initial impression, thumbs up. I liked it. Brad,
I think it's cool. I'm just kind of wondering how it's going to work for a hybrid, like a tablet / keyboard, something like a Surface right now, where people are going to switch between the two.
I can answer.
So did you watch the video, or the 40-minute one that they showed? I
didn't get to watch all of it, but I've been just, at least from my standpoint, because I'm diverging now. Like, since I'm so deep in development, I'm in this weird world where I'm using Linux, OS X, and Windows all at the same time. So,
sorry.
well, if you have you guys used VirtualBox before or have heard of it? So it's something that you can download from. Is
it a virtual environment?
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
So Linux has had that built in. OS X has had that built in. They've already had virtual desktops ready for I think more than 2 years now. And now Windows is catching up. Now they finally have it. And they're taking it to another level where the virtual desktops can interact with each other and stuff like that. You have different animations and things, which is kind of cool. But the real advantage of the virtual desktop is, once you switch to a desktop, switch that particular desktop, all the resources are used for that, right? It's not like you're running a bunch of Windows and you're like, man, I'm playing this game, but Internet Explorer is running in the background. You go to your gaming desktop and bang, everything is resourced for the games. So that's what I'm hoping to see with Windows in the technical preview. I'm just curious over how this is going to work for other Windows 8 devices that are planning to upgrade to Windows 10. So, for instance, I am using a laptop right now that's Windows 8 8.1, and it has touch, right? So I don't know what that will mean now. Does that mean that touch is more minimized now because it's more centered towards like keyboard and mouse? Or if this was a hybrid where I could detach it from as a tablet, does that mean now that it's still going to look like a desktop when I browse through it, or am I going to have something that looks a little bit closer to Windows 8 or something a little bit more tablet-friendly and touch-friendly?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it, Tony. So you got it. Yeah, Tony and I both know the answer to a couple of those questions, actually.
Yeah. So this is good for me because I'm still learning.
So in terms of a virtual box or a virtual environment, they didn't actually talk about that so much. But what I mean by the virtual desktops, I just mean that like the virtual desktop, it's all going to be Windows 10 desktops. As of right now, there's not going to be a virtual desktop that you could run Linux on it or you could run Mac on it. It's just going to be
that for sure.
Yeah.
That for sure, I can agree. So it's when you're switching around to see if it's going to be changing resources, right, or dedicating resources for some desktops.
Yeah, right. You're right, 100% right. And part of it, Joe Belfiore, or actually there was another presenter who's actually part of my group who does a lot of presentations. He's also been in a couple of Windows 8 advertisements. He presented to a small group of Engadget and The Verge Press and showed that not only in this run-of-the-mill virtual desktop where I'm doing Facebook and email, in the background I'm running Photoshop on this other virtual desktop. So like he's basically saying, as of right now, that although I'm running something that's very resource heavy in the background, because it's in the background, it's not pulling the resource. Now, I don't know how that's going to work when you're going to do rendering, like a video rendering or something like that. I don't. I mean, right now that kind of answer is still kind of up in the air. But I get where you're saying how that's going to be down the line. Now, going back to the whole, what were you saying, Sean?
No, the other question, the other part.
Yeah. So going back to the whole 2-in-1, where it's a tablet hybrid, like the Surface Pro 3. Okay. So they unveiled essentially it's a feature or it's a mode called Continuum, and this is specific for hybrid notebook tablet devices, exactly as the Pro 3. So there's a few videos that you can show that you can go check out. But essentially, what's going to happen is that when you have your tablet docked into the keyboard, just like you do with the Surface, it's going to be the desktop experience. When you detach the keyboard from the tablet, a little pop-up window is going to appear in the bottom right-hand corner, at least for the first time. I'm sure you can make it so it doesn't pop up ever again. But it's going to pop in the lower right-hand corner, and it's going to say, do you want to be in a more touch-friendly mode? I don't know the actual verbiage, but it basically says, do you want to be in a
he said tablet on the.
Yeah, do you want this in tablet mode?
Awesome.
Yeah, and so when you click tablet mode, it is all touch. Like your desktop, it's all full screen. And then the second that you reconnect the keyboard, the full screen apps will shrink, and you'll go back to your standard desktop. Without any kind of change or anything.
Wow.
One other thing, I think, Tony, did you mention this? The apps themselves can now be unpinned out to the side, and they can be in their own independent windows anywhere on the screen.
Yeah, Metro modern apps can be windowed. They call it windowed.
Windowed.
Wow.
So the beauty of that, now I love that feature because my biggest gripe about Windows 8 is like, oh, great. Like I would say, oh, you know what? I want to use Windows 8. Let me go through the Excel thing on my right side. Let me go through the calculator on my left. Okay, great. Oh, let me go get the browser. Oh, wait. Oh, good God. Trying to get this stuff to match in here. But now it's like I could take the calculator, make it its own little window like the way I would want it to be, and have it in there and be its natural format. Have a web browser behind it in its normal format, working in a desktop format, split the other half of the screen the way that I would do in a Windows 8 thing, and have them all work completely integrated in one setup. It's actually very well designed. I
don't know if we can actually say that now.
Well, I'm sorry. What it does is it pretty much takes those apps that I wanted to use as an individual thing and allows me to use them as an individual thing. Like if you know how they have that mail app, you can just shrink the mail app and just put it. Like I'm just want to shrink it and put it on this part of the screen for a second instead of eating up half of it, or making it full screen like a tablet, and then I have to go back to the desktop view to do my desktop work. Or you know how they does that, or you have to drag the thing and see how much of the mail app you want to have open. Now you can just make it a window.
So let's put into perspective that we all understand. Okay. So we have our WordPress blog open in one window, and if you want to open up the Mail Metro app, you do have to flip over to the Windows 8 side, open up that app, and the best that you can do is you can have the Mail app side by side your desktop. And like I was saying earlier, that can work for certain apps, but some apps aren't as dynamic as others, so it's cutting certain information off, and you're still having to go back and forth. This would allow you to essentially have certain apps that you determine to be in a window, just like Chrome is in a window, just like Microsoft Word is in a window, but it stays on the desktop. So then you could snap up to 4 different apps on the desktop without having to move around and going back and forth between the tile page and back to the desktop page.
So I'm curious now, because of the way this is all moving, does that mean the responsive design that was created for Windows 8 at those times, is that going to go away now?
It's going to be responsive to determined by the size of the window that whatever size of the window that you make.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Okay, yeah. So if you have like Microsoft Bing Finance open right now, and you were to bring it to the desktop, if you were to shrink that even down to like maybe 10 by 20, it's going to be responsive. It's not going to shrink the whole thing. It's not going to shrink all the text into tiny text. It's going to
It's going to be
shrink
responsive.
it. Right. It is going to be responsive for that particular window.
Okay, so that's all dependent on the app design then, right? Because
and that's where universal apps come in.
Right, a good example of this is WordPress itself, right? When we're putting it on full screen, everything is there. We see the menu on the left side, we see the interface on the right side, we see the menus on top, right? And as we're shrinking the interface, as we're shrinking our browser window, right? Just kind of like how you resize Windows, and certain things disappear. The words disappear, and you see icons instead of words. You see smaller icons versus bigger icons. So, I mean, that's going to be a huge thing now, because now, as a developer, you're thinking, am I going to be designing in a window, or am I designing in an app?
Right, and so hopefully the whole
That's a
universal...
very crazy thing to think about now.
It is, yeah, and hopefully...
It's almost very Android-ish now, do you know what I mean?
It is, and the universal app mentality that they're trying to push forward is that you're going to write the app once, and it's going to work on the desktop, it's going to work on the tablet, it's going to work full screen, it's going to work on the phone, and you're not going to have to do anything else.
Which is exactly what Android's trying to do now.
Yeah,
right?
Which is what they were trying to do with Windows 8 in a way.
Yes.
They were,
So,
right.
yeah. The advantage that... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It looks like they're almost pulling it off. That's the thing. In this situation, from what they're showcasing, it looks like they might have found a way of pulling this off and actually making it work. And having it across the OS is bigger than having it in part of Chrome. That's just a browser. This is the whole computer that you're utilizing. It's actually, I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
It is very interesting. I think the advantage that Windows has over everything right now is driver support. That's a big advantage. That's something that Android doesn't have yet.
Yep.
So if Android wants to get into the world of just connecting a printer to a tablet that has a USB connection, you just can't do it. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that has a huge advantage. If Windows can leverage those OEMs and leverage the developers in such a way where it's somewhat Android-ish, then that's a huge advantage, because now you have device support. You could just say, I want to use this device, X device. Maybe they redo DirectX to make it work across everything. That would be even bigger, right? Because now then you develop one game, and you say, well, I don't have to port this game over. It now works on your Xbox, it works on Windows, and it works on... That's pretty scary. Because
that's good. So
that is very good. I mean, it's very good. As a developer, you save yourself at least like 2 months of development time. That's a huge return on investment thing.
Yeah, that's the whole. That's one of the ideas. And the other thing too is, like, now that they're bringing the focus back to the desktop, some questions have arisen, like, well, if you're going to go to the desktop, why should I download a Windows app versus just downloading or going to Netflix.com? What's the difference? The difference is, as a developer, because just like you said, Rad, you can write the app just once and have that same app ecosystem and same interface as much as possible throughout all the different Windows devices. Whereas on the web page, it's it's a web page,
So now, all right. Now we talked about the start menu. Now they talked about other things, I guess, like the DOS, and they talked about other things. So what else?
Command prompt.
Command prompt. So what do we got going on here?
Wow.
Yeah,
so,
they changed that. It's some good stuff there too, right? You'll love this.
Yeah, right now with command prompt, if you try to do just basic, copy and paste in command prompt.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You can't.
You can't.
With Windows,
they figured it out now.
With Windows 10, you can.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow, we've been waiting this for 20 years.
I know, right?
Yeah. I know that. I was thinking like.
So Joe Belfiore, he gave an example. He got an email, quote unquote, from some guy, said, hey, can you see if this works right? So he opened up command prompt. He typed in CD, blah blah blah, and then he just did Control V. It pasted the whole code that he got in the email. Clicked enter, and boom, DIR'd it, and it just worked seamlessly.
The way it's supposed to work. The way that
you would envision it to work. Yeah, what took so freaking long?
No, I could imagine the implications though, but that's nuts. I mean, to even do that, that's crazy. It's just a long time waiting.
Now, Brad, you were mentioning how the one thing that they would need for the developers to work together and all that stuff is you need some way of everything being universal, and they are actually working on the store too. So, Tony, they said are they kind to like just they're trying to get everything into the same store. So just like Apple has an
Yep.
app store, Windows will once again, and it seems like they're really going to be doing this unified store going.
Well,
on.
Apple has two stores, and Google has two stores. Google has the Chrome apps, and they have they have Android apps, and Apple has Mac apps, and they have iOS apps.
Yes.
Microsoft is trying to just do apps, App Store, and because of universal apps, as long as your whatever device you're looking at these apps, if it's compatible with your device, like the Xbox One or the Surface tablet or a desktop, it'll work. So that also extends, if it's an x86 thing versus an ARM powered device, things like that. That's a little bit beyond what they were talking about right now. But their whole goal, again, for developers is just to make it easy right now, just to make it easier to develop for. Yeah.
That's a big key. Because it was a mess in the beginning. Like when Windows Phone 7 came out, there was no kernel, right? So there was no support, there was nothing like that. It took a while, then Windows 8 came out, and that was another 2 years, right? Or another year. And I was like, and developers were still getting used to that. So, and that entire time, everyone's building on iOS and Android.
Yep.
So the only way I could see Windows fighting back is to get the millions of developers and the millions of apps that are on Windows now and get them to go shoot all the way throughout Windows. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I have this, Plex app that I have, but it's just a desktop version. He goes, well, guess what? The APIs now work for this, and the Windows Phone, this and this and this.
Right.
All you do is just put the APIs in, and wham! You have something working. It's not perfect yet, but all you do is just make some responsive designs here and there, put some templates here and there, and wham!
So,
that's pretty crazy.
A great example of an application that is on across all devices right now is Halo Spartan Assault. It came out on Windows, and then it came out on Windows Phone. And then after a couple of months, it finally came out on the Xbox One. And I'm sure throughout all that time, the developers were just kind of scratching their heads and banging their heads at the same time because they are very different environments. But hopefully now, from this point on, a developer could make a game, and it would, with their infinite wisdom, it would be not only touch-friendly, but again, with all the APIs that you're talking about, Rad, it'll be touch-friendly, it'll be mouse and keyboard-friendly, and it'll be controller-friendly. And hell, why not? It would be Kinect-friendly, because you have Kinect for Windows now, too, that you can buy for like $150. So...
All right. So what else? What other things still they go? I'm trying to remember them all right now. So
let's talk about the name real quick. We kind of glossed over that a little bit. The name Windows 10. Like I said, they kind of joked about it in the beginning. And I know a lot of people were like thinking Windows 9 or Windows 8.5, but when they said Windows 10, there was a lot of jokes going on about that. Rad, I told you the joke yesterday. It's called Windows 10 because 7, 8, 9.
Oh, God.
Yeah, see? I was laughing my ass off, but apparently you're not as enthused as I am.
And every 6-year-old around you.
Yeah. But according to Engadget, some of the rumors why it's called Windows 10 is because we actually already had Windows 9 in code form. Windows 9 in the code is actually Windows 95 and Windows 98. So to avoid any confusion, they said, hey, not only could we completely distance ourselves from Windows 8 and just say this is just another incremental step, this is a huge step, and it avoids any kind of confusion with Windows 9 that we had previously in the code. Ta-da!
So, how plausible does that sound to you?
It's plausible enough.
That's what I said too. I was like, that sounds pretty real. So they were like saying, yeah, we started at Windows 9, but we kept having these errors, and it kept finding this old code from this old driver that we kept accessing.
It's easy. Just comment everything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Rad. You're right, because that's exactly what I was thinking. They're going to have to add so many comments, or someone's going to do like a Control F. Replace Windows 9 with Windows 10.
Yeah.
That's also gonna break things because some of the old drivers are still kind of working
Windows
on
the Windows 7.
or Windows like 98 like that for whoever's still using a 98.
That's so funny, man.
Please
For a
stop.
parody, if they
Wow.
release Windows 10, they should call it Windows XP, overlap everyone's desktop into Windows XP on like
So-
April 1st or something.
I also heard some other people saying that, anecdotally, people are going to go to the stores next year because this is going to be available to the public mid-2015, they said. And they're going to go to the stores and all the computers are going to be Windows 10. And to the layman, they're like, wait, did I miss 9? What the hell? What just happened? So that could be a good thing, or that could be a completely different, like, negative connotation where the customer's like, oh, they couldn't even get 9 right. They went straight to 10.
Why don't you just do the Apple rack with the new Windows?
Thank you.
know,
That's
right?
what I was thinking myself. I was thinking that in the back of my head. I was like, nah, this
New
one.
Windows. The Windows Air.
Do you think? Oh God. Do you think that they would in the future, when 10 finally does come out, they're going to change the moniker of like Xbox One to like Xbox One powered by Windows 10, like somewhere like on the box or anything like
It's going to
that?
be called Windows now.
Yeah.
So that was the whole other rumor thing too about
Yes,
Windows
right.
Phone turning into Windows
It's
or something like that.
Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the app comes out, it'll just be Windows.
Right,
it's
and
like, oh.
again, that goes with the whole universal app store.
Like the iPad. It's just the iPad. I don't care if it's just the iPad.
That's what I have,
Yeah.
just the iPad, and then
Now, I want to address another concern of yours, Rad. And this was you mentioned, and this is something else I displayed, and it had to do with using some of the touch features along with the desktop. Some of the touch features are going to maintain on the desktop whether you're using the computers or not. For example, the swiping from the right side to bring up what they now
the
currently
charms?
call the charms, which I
are they killing it?
No, they're not. They're
Oh.
not killing it. They are going to redesign them.
I
completely
use
redo it.
charms, right?
Brad, they're going to redesign them. They're going to redo it. They're going to completely fix them. But they're still going to be able to go to the right side and grab the items that the people who are used to going to the right side and grabbing like the quick Wi-Fi settings and things like that are going to be
better.
easy as walk to the right, grab it, and do things. So some
Yeah.
things are
That's
over-
only on touch.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Only
gonna-
on touch.
No, that you can do that on the desktop.
No, they said not. I heard not I heard not mouse.
The guy did
So what
it.
happens with touch-based laptops? What happens with those?
So it seems like that they will go either tablet mode or they'll be really just tablet mode. It seems like that.
So I have a touch-based laptop which I'm using right now.
Well, it's not going to be tablet mode.
That'll switch between back and forth. If the keyboard is there, it'll be in desktop mode, and if you disable the keyboard, then it'll go to touch mode. Or
Oh no, he just has a laptop. It's not a detachable keyboard.
Oh,
It's just going to be a laptop.
Just desktop mode, then I guess.
Yeah,
with
you're
some-
not
with some type of
Rad.
features.
Yeah, you're not gonna have the whole continuum thing. You're just gonna have the desktop.
Okay.
No, he'll have some. He'll still be able to touch and close some screens. He'll still be
No,
able
but
to
the
do some-
continuum basically is specific for hybrid,
Oh,
where you can specify only tile or only desktop, depending if the keyboard is detached or not.
I see.
The
But they
fact that-
still allow you to do it though, right? So
Yeah.
if you detach the tablet from the keyboard, you essentially I don't want to change all the screens right now. I'm still on desktop mode. I want to finish this last bit of email.
It'll give
before
you
I-
that option.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
It'll
Matter
give
of
you
fact-
that option.
Come to think of it, why would they not give you the option anyway? Like, what if there's just a setting where, let's say if you bought the computer for your mother or something, and they want to use the Windows 8 style, they want to use it simple, or you want to set it up so that there's very little to do, or you're using it for a business or so, and you want to have it set up so that they're limited on what they can do with it. Maybe you can just buy the computer, go to an administrator, create a sub-user, and lock them down to a very basic mode, which restricts them to that. I mean, what if it seems like it would be smarter if they would still allow you to do that.
Wait, are you saying lock them into the tile or lock them into the desktop?
Well, just lock them into the tablet style interface.
The tile.
Yeah, the tile.
The
mode,
tiles,
versus
the start screen.
Yeah, exactly. What if you,
So that was actually one of the leaks that came out about a week ago. It showed that there is a click button option that would allow you to just stay in the start screen mode.
There you go. Okay.
Like
But,
you-
but
like-
they're not totally stuck there, right? They still have
No. Like basically what I mean by that. Sorry if I'm not being clear. What I mean by that is it would give you the option if you want the start menu or the start screen. So you'll still have the desktop that you're able to go to, but it's the start button that would change. Clicking the start button would just be either start menu or start screen. Now in the technical preview right now, that option I don't think is available, but like I told Sean pre-show, I'm gonna go grab my Windows 7 laptop that's like 4 years old or whatever, and install this technical preview just to kind of look at all the uncovered things that they didn't talk about, because there's a fair few things that they didn't talk about that people are discovering.
And I'll have mine downloaded in 25 minutes.
Yeah, there you go. And that is something that we should mention, but we'll go on as well too. Right now, if you want to, you can join the Windows Insider program for free and download the technical preview for free and install it on a Windows 7 or Windows 8 computer. And they recommend don't install it on your everyday computer because it is a developer build. It's technical, it's a preview. There's gonna be bugs. That's gonna be broken. They know this, but they also want your feedback. And I know they did a consumer preview for Windows 8 last year, but Rad, from the preview to the actual release of Windows 8, it doesn't seem like they listened to anybody. Because there were so many problems that people were talking about. They're like, no, here it is.
That was a different staff at that time.
Exactly. Yep. And so that's what I love about this new design staff and the UI staff and having Joe Belfiore, and they understand the mindset of these business. Yeah, they listen. In fact, Fiore mentioned that other OEM partners have actually been using and testing this out for a few months under NDA, and they're saying, okay, so what do you like? We like this. What don't you like? We don't like that. Okay, tweet.
Yep.
And part of this whole developer preview that's going out is you're going to be in a mini subset. So, for example, they're going to change one little thing on, let's say they give us Cortana, because we know that Cortana is finally coming to the computer, but they don't give it to Sean. They give it to Rad and I. And Sean's like, screw it. I don't, this is dumb. I don't have Cortana. I'm just going to use Google. I'm just going to go to Google and do my voice stuff through Google. But Rad, you and I are just Cortanaing out. Hey, Cortana, do this, do that. Right. And so they're going to be able to see and get feedback of little tweaks, what works best and what doesn't work best, instead of just updating everybody to the exact same build. I think that's smart. I think it's a great move.
It's actually a very modern move nowadays. A good example of this is
Facebook.
Exactly. You beat me to it. Them and LinkedIn, they do the same thing. They do that with the news feeds, and they do the same thing with other things like albums and introduction screens. They were doing the same thing with Twitter before they actually moved to the new profile, experimenting with users, giving them different types of. They call this segmenting.
A/B. Yes. I thought it was A/B testing.
Yes, A/B testing. That's it, right there. We also call it segmenting, but A/B testing is really the best way to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definite developer talk. So, but for the most part, it's just A/B testing means here's screen A, here's screen B, which looks cool to you. But usually it does not. It's not between the same person. It's usually screen A will belong to group A, and screen B will be group B.
Right.
And then basically it sees how they react, and then sometimes they switch it and see how they react with that. So, and sometimes that depends too, right? What you show first impacts how you think of the second, right? Or if you just see the second the first time, you might think, oh, I want this better. So it just really depends on how they test and how they gather. But it's way more effective than what they were doing last time, which was just doing telemetry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which was like, hey, we see some numbers here. Looks like low numbers here on the start menu. I think we're not going to need that anymore. And I'm like, no, that's what everybody clicks first. Doesn't mean that everyone clicks it a lot. That's just what everyone clicks first.
Right.
So.
All right. So what other things did they talk about, Rad, there from Microsoft, or any other points that we definitely want to hit up, like their enterprise focus, maybe, or?
Yeah, I was really curious about their enterprise focus.
That's the thing. I didn't hear a lot of enterprise.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
So the thing about what I took from that was, this is how I saw it. They wanted to appeal to the people who are running the businesses, and one thing that they're always worried about is productivity. All the features they showed off in reality were productivity things that slow down people when they're doing work. Like, for example, when people move to Windows 8, one of the constant complaints I always got from myself, from all the coworkers and all that, and then I hear from my girlfriend and all people who work with those who have Windows 8 and all that is, no, now I can't find this. This slowed me down. I can't do this. Something's going down. So they were really, really hammering the things are back where they're supposed to be and where you're expecting to find them. And if you're whether you're a Windows 8 or Windows 7 user, you will always find it where you're expecting to find it. So
Yeah, there's,
you
you know,
so that was
I have
one
to
thing
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they focused on the multiple desktops. The reason they were showcasing that is that way so we could have different workflows. For example, and this is how I thought of it. Let's say I'm doing numbers and spreadsheets, and I can have my calculator open with one thing, like maybe the internet where I'm having some information where I'm having to get it, and then my Excel document. I can have those open, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got to work on another quick project. I can just go quickly to another project. It can have a Word document open in my email, so I can quickly send that information, and then swing back. And it's sort of like if I was a person owning a business and owning some type of thing, and I had like 100 employees, and I have to buy 100 licenses or 2,000 licenses of this software, knowing that, one, all my employees can use it because they've all been using this, and it doesn't matter if they've upgraded or not, they will all understand it. Two, it'll increase their productivity is huge to me. Also, they said about the update, and they said one of the biggest advantages of having a universal store means that they can update them all at the same time. You need to upgrade your whole company? No problem.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be there yet. That's a huge thing.
Well, that's why they're releasing it next year.
Yeah. Yeah. But even then, like, there's these millions of apps.
Yeah, Rad's right. You wouldn't want to release do the update all at the same time. But I get what you're saying, Sean. I see where your head's at. Yeah.
Now, they talked about productivity and they talked about enterprise, and to me, they didn't want to talk about the backbone enterprise because I'm sure they didn't want to confuse the people in the audience, confuse the people who are seeing this.
There, it looks like they weren't concentrated on experiences, huh? So
it was all about experiences. It was basically saying this. A lot of you guys right now out there for your businesses, you're using Windows 7 because it's what you're familiar with.
Yes.
When we brought Windows 8, you didn't want to have to retrain everybody. You didn't want to have to worry about compatibility.
That is the key.
So now we're bringing back Windows 7 to a certain degree, but but we're still keeping some features of Windows 8 that people did come to know and love, and intertwining the both of them. So whether you're familiar with Windows 7 or familiar with Windows 8, you're going to feel at home with Windows 10.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
no matter what.
Said that. He said he even kind of directly said, even all the people who were Windows 7 and the few features from Windows 8, he even said, and a couple features from Windows 8 also made. He kind of said that directly.
Yeah.
So it's like
he
definitely understands what they were going. They know what they need to do and who they're going.
Yeah,
after.
his analogy was interesting. Belfiore, he said, Windows 7 is like a Prius. It drives nice and everything, but we want to get you into something that works really well. Productivity is very important, so we want you to drive in a Tesla, and that's what Windows 10 is all about. And you don't have to relearn how to drive. And that was what Windows 8 was. Windows 8 was like putting somebody in a Google smart driving car where you would have to relearn how to drive because there's no steering wheel, right? Yeah. So I mean if you can go along with that
you're
analogy,
running manual and you're like, oh wait, there's a reverse is over here, and oh wait, there's a seventh gear to shift to.
Yeah.
I thought that was three seashells or something.
And they skipped gear 3. What?
I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's what I liked about the Enterprise. I thought that was seemingly their focus, and that's why they seem to keep it somewhat consumer. But they didn't talk about all the stupid like video features and all that. That's great. We'll talk about that in the future. But
that's in November.
They talked about what the operating system, because in reality, when I think about an OS, and I think about this with Mac OS as well as all the Windows, to me, I need to go there and do some work. Whether the productivity is video, movies, coding, watching stuff. Sometimes the productivity, and then every so often it's like, all right, I'm done with all this. Let me find a place to relax. I want to have a place where I can do all that crap without being interfered with being able to do all that crap. I just want to do it and just find it and move on.
Right, exactly.
That seems to be a big focus on, at least on what they were showcasing, and I think that's why I got excited for what they were showcasing, and that's why I'm 13 minutes away.
Yeah, that's really powerful, because when more people are becoming more familiar with touchscreen ways of doing work, then it becomes a win situation, right? Because ideally, to me, and I think, and I don't know if I could speak for all developers, but even, I mean, those guys are regular people too. They want to watch Netflix, right? They don't want to watch it inside a window. They're going to probably switch to tablet mode, on through the continuum and just say switch to this, and just tap away on, your save list, right? So that's kind
Or
of what I expect to do.
I personally like the idea of taking Netflix and moving it to the bottom left corner of the screen, eating up the bottom quarter, and then having your spreadsheet on the right side, and then having your
Yeah,
browser in the top right. You could have Netflix open, and instead of like right now on my browser, I have a music app, another thing here, and all of them are kind of on top of each other, and they're layering. I would love to have one in each corner and be done with this. It would make my life so much easier. And that other software, Windows 10, looks like they're allowing you to do it.
yeah. Would have a similar experience in that if I was watching Netflix or some other provider, and I'm done with work, but I'm not done with the movie. You know what I mean? Then I detach the tablet and I just tap the movie and it's full screen and I'm done. You know what I mean? Just walk into my sofa and chilling, eating a sandwich, whatever. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. But I mean, that's the kind of
Wait, you have a sandwich?
I know, because everything you have to finish off with a sandwich.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm gonna just walk over to my sofa, chilling. Like you can put a comment between the sofa and the chilling. Dude,
I know. I'm like chatting that I'm chilling.
Yeah, I'm walking.
Cortana, tell it I am chilling.
I was like, all right, LL.
I know. But that's the thing that would make this powerful, because right now I think I'm more towards an iOS guy now. Like I'm on a normal day, I'm always on an iPad, right? I just do most of my stuff. That's just like I would play the games there now. I barely play on the console as much because I just don't have enough time. And I just go on there, check out fantasy football, check out news, and then turn it off. But the thing that really bothers me is when I do have work, if an emergency pops up, like a client calls or work calls or whatever, I can't. It's hard to remote from a tablet. It's impossible. Even if I attach a keyboard to it, which I've tried so many times, tapping around a tablet, to point your mouse around or try to select a set of text, excuse me, and move stuff around. Even just things like copying and pasting from emails or whatever is a chore. But it's just mouse and keyboard will never ever go away. So just to put the keyboard on there and just go wham, just all of a sudden be 10 times faster is so much more powerful than like having a tablet and having a laptop separately.
I agree. I do want to answer this question from Peter. Yeah, it's Windows 10, not Windows 9. Just no 9.
Yeah,
9 is gone.
Yeah.
Did you tell the reason? Yeah, the reason why they.
9's like never mind.
No 9, dude. 98, 95. No. We're going 10, bro.
Yeah.
Actually, at first I thought they were doing something and it gets Apple. I'm like, well, maybe they're. No, they're not.
No, because you're right, because OS 10,
Right.
Windows 10,
Yeah.
just around the corner of Yosemite. Although
Yes.
Yosemite is a final build, this is still another year out. But yeah, I don't know. So that's another thing that we should talk about, though. How much is this gonna be?
That's the question. So what's
You
the
know,
upgrade path like?
We
does
don't
anybody
know. Nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
There was a lot of
definitively knows.
speculation.
There's
I
a
thought there was gonna be
ton
free.
of speculation, and I.
So I thought it was
love
going to be free for people who have 8.1 or 8.
That's what they said. That's what they have speculated, and that's what other developers
But they haven't officially said anything.
They haven't said anything about how many SKUs. They haven't said how much it's going to be to upgrade or if it's going to cost anything. Because people have said, hey, this should be free for XP users because there's about 30% of people in the world that are still in XP. So
That's
if you
a lot.
It is a lot. And if you want those 30% to upgrade, they're not going to upgrade to 8. There's nowhere to get 7 legally. And it's really difficult.
It's true.
So we need to get them to 10. How do we do that? Let's give it to them for free. It's not going to work on the computer that well, but at least we're showing that we're trying. Okay, we'll do that. What about the Windows 8 people? We kind of screwed them over. Let's give them. So it's some things. Microsoft needs to make money though, right?
Now they're going.
No,
that's mobile first, cloud first strategy.
Right. So where's the money? Is it all just the
Cloud.
app?
It's going to be on the app and the cloud. So basically, the end game would be OneDrive would be the end game, right? Because everything is becoming data centric now, right? Your data barely stays on your computer now. Your data is out there in the world. I mean, Google already instantiated that with Google Drive when it was called Google Docs back then, right? So they had Docs, and that was a Docs and spreadsheet, and all of a sudden they had Docs, spreadsheet, and PowerPoint, Docs, spreadsheet, and presentation, and some other stuff. And they were just sucking for like 4 or 5 years putting that together. And I was like, wow, they're actually really pushing hard to make this only web-based. and now they're getting there. They're not as they're still far away from things like Excel and macros and stuff like that, but it's still like a push in the right direction. But now Microsoft knows that that's really the deal breaker right now, because having people pay per year to just have a store of data sitting in there is like, way more secure than wondering if someone's going to buy a copy of Windows 12, Windows 15, right?
Right, and that's where the
So
365 subscription comes into play. 'Cause
yes,
the Office
yes,
365
that's the
subscription,
big money maker right now.
yeah, that's
That's
huge
like
because
the
it gives you the terabyte of cloud storage per user. You're able to install it on across the devices, including iPads currently, and so that's where the software
cash
play.
cow.
Yeah, that's where the the focusing more on the software than obviously the hardware comes into play for Microsoft. The question is, I don't know how many SKUs they're going to be, because right now we have so many SKUs in the enterprise market, from like small business to large business. X amount of some enterprise SKUs have some features where some don't. Some are more server centric. So it's a long road ahead, and that's why they are bringing this preview now. So when they want to release it, it's not going to be kind of rushing to fix a bunch of bugs or things that they didn't think about. So
Unlike
Are
what
they
they
going to
did with
be
Windows
doing
8.
this? Oh yeah. So the other question too is this: How does this affect Windows Phone users? Is there going to be an effect for them?
You know
Is
what?
there going to be a technical preview for them?
They
not
didn't
right
really get
now.
into that yet. They didn't
Yeah,
talk
they didn't
much.
talk about Windows
Yeah.
Phone. They did say, and I'll throw this picture up. They did say, Windows 10 is basically going to be, as it states right here, one product family, one platform, one store. And the one store
That's
is what Sean was talking about before. And as you can see there, there's the desktop, there's an all-in-one, there's the
Mm,
Surface, there's a TP tablet, then there's other tablets, smaller tablets,
Xbox One.
phones, smaller phones, and then Internet of Things devices without a screen. So
that's a
all
lot.
of that is going to eventually be on Windows 10, which also goes to your previous point, Rad, that it's a possibility that Windows Phone in the future is just going to be called Windows, so it has the same moniker. So the confusion of which app store am I downloading this app in, it's just the App Store. It's just Windows.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's
All right.
gonna be hard
it's
because
gonna be nuts.
we've got so used to, for now, calling it Windows Phone. We've gotten used to these two different, very different app stores that are, some are ARM based, some are x86 friendly, some aren't, some are Intel friendly, some aren't. Now it's going to be one app store that hopefully with universal apps they're all going to be able to communicate with each other without any kind of conflict. You know.
Can you imagine, like, I just thought of like an idea, just because of just the fact that they're going in this direction. One example is, and this sounds so simple, and there's lots of apps for this, a simple to-do list, right? Let's say I hang like a monitor and it's attached to the Xbox, or maybe that monitor is also a Windows monitor and it's about 40 inches wide, right? Sitting in the middle of the family room or whatever. And the to-do list, I'm programming it. I'm like, okay, tapping means it's going to be this. Yes, I'm going to make it Connect enabled, and yes, I'm going to make it, resizable for this. So it's going to look this wide when it's this big screen, and look this small when it's this screen. It's going to have, when you're using Connect, I'm going to have the ability to zoom in, zoom out, or whatever, or pull and push, or delete. I mean, it's the thought about just building something as simple as a to-do list is going to be so crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
like a checklist.
like, yeah, it's basically,
Yeah.
you're like thinking, well, now that I'm building for all of these things, you know what I mean? How do I make it friendly enough to make it work for all of them? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a huge challenge, especially for someone that wants to make games. I just think of like someone like Blizzard, who's always been working on Windows for the longest time, finally builds a game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, right? Now they have Windows, which is going to work everywhere, and they decide, hey, we have it on Xbox One. Now why can't we have it expand to Windows Phone and the tablets and all this other stuff and the Surface?
Mm-hmm.
I mean that would be super powerful to say. I'm just wondering from a developer standpoint how much work that is, how much testing that is, how crazy it would be like when someone actually uses the thing, right?
Right. I mean, because like, if they're going to build a game for the Xbox One
Right.
under the whole moniker of Universal Apps, that's a powerful machine. You probably couldn't play that game on a Nokia 1020.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, as powerful as a 1020 is,
Right.
it's not an Xbox One. So there are going to be parameters. There are going to be limitations to that. But the idea is that depending on what the app is,
Yes.
maybe it is the same app, but because you're using a phone, you're not going to have these features just because it's a phone and it doesn't have that capability. Kind of like gestures and things like that.
But you did brought up the whole the Halo that Halo game. I keep forgetting the title of
Art
it.
and Assault, yeah.
Art and Assault is a perfect example that would work across the board because of the way that game is designed.
Yeah.
I mean, because you could use a mouse, you could use a joystick, you could potentially use Kinect. I don't know why you would, but you could. But I mean, like it's one of those weird things where it's just sort of like it goes exactly to what you. I know, like, but I mean, like, but I mean, I guess the whole point is, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying, which is, it depends what you're making, right? And like, I'm just thinking in my mind, and I go, wow, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to release, some very simple apps, some stuff that are in between. What if someone creates a puzzle game app? How's that going to work? I mean, there's some really interesting scenarios now that I could think of from a developer standpoint.
Yeah, and the other question. Oh, go ahead, Sean, because you haven't talked.
I was going to say that's part of the idea, like having these features. You were saying, oh, it's going to be creative. I'm like, yeah, it's going to get some creative. So people are going to have some very creative ideas. That's what I say. That's the result of what this is going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
really
mean,
what's going to happen. So.
The title that I put for this was Windows 10 Impressions, Hopes and Dreams. So that's one hope for Rad. One thing that I hope for, and I know it's probably coming. We already know Cortana's in the works, but one thing that I hope for is swipe-style keyboard for tablets.
There you go.
They have that for Windows Phone 8.1 update, where you have the swipe on the keyboard, but they don't do it for the tablet. And currently, I have the Surface Pro 3, and I got to tell you, it's using the on-screen keyboard. It's fine. But I'm so used to just swiping like my Google keyboard or my SwiftKey X keyboard on my other tablets that I know Microsoft has it in plan, but I can't wait for that to be added to the build to Windows 10.
Didn't you say that swipe is capable on the keyboard itself, but not the virtual, not the actual graphic keyboard, but the swipe is capable on the Surface keyboard?
No, it's not.
That's not. Oh, okay.
No. I mean,
it's
all
not
you
gesture-based, okay.
It's not gesture-based. No, I mean, right now with Windows 8.1 keyboard, you can change it between the full-size keyboard to the thumb-friendly keyboard, and then to the graffiti keyboard, where you can just kind of draw.
Oh, that's
on
right.
it,
That's right.
But there's no swiping. The minute that you swipe, the keyboard's like, I don't know what you're trying to do, man. I don't know. So.
Yeah, we're starting to see more stuff happening between Windows and iOS, like when iOS started getting updated. Oh wow, there's a split keyboard now, and wow, there's a starting to see predictive text stuff.
And there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm totally cool with that. If they're gonna pull ideas from iOS or pull ideas from Android,
better for everybody.
It's better for everybody because if you're used to something, if you're used to something, you can say, hey, if you're used to that on Android, we now have that on Windows. Oh, you guys copied. Well, don't you want us to have something similar so it's not a jarring experience? Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
Okay, well, here it is.
Yeah, and also to Microsoft's point, now they're starting to be a little bit more friendly. They're being more open and wanting to develop for other platforms too, which was a huge surprise. Yeah. But at the same time, they had to. I think that was like Office being on like iOS, and is it on Android now finally? Right?
On the phones. It is on the phones, but not on tablets.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I think you gotta have that game just in case too. I mean, worst case scenario, if Windows just doesn't work out for whatever reason, they have that. You know, I mean, they can still go, this way. So it's just they have a pretty good future ahead of them, but it's a lot of work, man. Yeah. That is so much work.
So as Sean was saying, more of the enterprise centric features and how that's all going to pan out. They're going to explain all of that at Tech Head in Barcelona in, I think, the end of October or November, one of the 2 months. So that's where you're going to hear more of the Mary Jo Foley kind of friendly stuff. Where you're like, for me, I'm just like, I have no idea. And then there's Rad over there going, yay, I understand everything. Hadoop for everyone. And I don't know.
So now, all right. So when is that again? You said?
The Tech Head is like at the end of October or sometime in November. Another thing for you developers out there, the subscription to TechNet is over. So TechNet,
that's the sad part. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if this is
a
like
lot of
connected.
money.
I don't know if it's connected per se, but TechNet was kind of an easy subscription, or it was a model where that you can get Windows software.
Yeah, Windows everything pretty much.
Everything for like
$2 grand, $3 grand.
Yeah, but you got everything. You got everything. You got the servers. You got every support possible.
Yeah.
I've been asked many a times if I have an extra subscription in my back pocket. I'm like, dude, that thing's done.
Yeah, MSD. They used to call it MSDN subscriptions, and you would have everything. They would have stacks and stacks of software this high, and they would give you like manuals to stick.
Yep.
And then it would be like, wow. And it was like $3 or $4 grand a year for one company or something.
Now another thing was announced yesterday, and it was kind of under the rug, was the new and improved MSN.com. Microsoft is moving away from having a Bing moniker like Bing Sports, Bing Finance. It's going to be more. It's going to be MSN. So it's going to be MSN Sports. There's a brand new MSN portal. So if you're used to portals like Yahoo is and things like that, then the new Microsoft's MSN.com portal might be a good homepage for you. So, but what's going to happen? It's going to happen to Windows 8 users right now. That over time, the tiles that say Bing Sports, Bing Finance, Bing Weather, that's going to change, and you're going to start seeing MSN again. Some people are like, why the heck are we going back to 1998? But the idea, one idea behind that is, MSN is content. Yeah. Bing was kind of all over the place. What is all over the map? So Bing is still going to be a thing, but it's going to be more just search focused.
Yeah, so they're just trying to figure out the brands out, right?
Yeah, because there's Bing, there was Live, there was MSN. Like, what the heck do you guys want? So now they're trying to focus in a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that's smarter branding because MS stands for, I don't know, Microsoft. Hey, would you believe it makes sense?
It was Microsoft Network, and
it just okay. Who doesn't know? It's the Microsoft, dude. It's Microsoft. It's Microsoft. MS. Got it. People get it. It makes sense for them, and they brand Microsoft on all your products so people know that's your product.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, try. I know the three of us are. When we have time, we're going to dabble in the technical preview, and maybe next week we'll have a little bit more actual hands-on, a little bit more to say about it, and I might even do a video capture video sometime this week to kind of show off what I've found that works for me, because I've been completely ingrained into Windows 8, and not to say you can't make Windows 8 better. You can make Windows 8 tenfold times better. So I'm very excited to see how Windows 10 pans out, and I do know that even with all these things, because I've been reading some of the comments in these threads, people are already hating on it, and I'm just like, you guys, there's no pleasing anybody these days.
No.
I know it's the internet, and I know it's the internet, and people just want to complain. I get it.
Yep.
But I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine. Dude, it's fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm very excited. I kind of liked what I saw. I like what they're doing. Enough so while we're recording this, I am installing it on a virtual machine as we're talking.
That's why
you sound like Max.
And it started kicking into something heavy right now. So I guess we're gonna have to cut the show quick. So, all right, Tony. Anything rad for you? Anything for you? Anything you wanna?
No.
No.
I'm just
excited?
looking forward to new stuff. Oh, there's some like new deals happening on the outside of Microsoft stuff. Did you know that Adam Sandler actually inked a deal with Netflix?
Yeah,
4 movies.
Yeah.
4.
I just saw that on where? MSN.
Oh yeah, I
Good
do
job.
too.
Like, good job. It's crazy.
He's
Anyway,
like,
all
I'm
right,
not
so
dead. I still act. I'm still funny.
I know.
cool.
Oh
All right.
man.
So let's go ahead and thank everyone for coming and hanging out with us. We, are the what happened to my computer here? No. The all right, so thanks for hanging out. We're the Lazy Tech Guys. This is the LTG show. This is, thank you for hanging out. Give you some contact information. You can email us at comments@lazytechguys.com. You can give us a call at area code 707-722-5299. We are found on many social networks, including Google Plus, as well as Facebook and Twitter. If you look up Lazy Tech Guys, and our YouTube channel is Lazy Tech TV. Once again, we'd like to thank you for hanging out with us. We'd like to thank you for hanging out with us. We do normally record these on Tuesday nights, but we're doing a little something special for tonight. One last thing, thank our sponsor, audible.com, audibletrial.com/lazy. See that URL on the screen, folks? Use that URL, sign up, enjoy a free book, benefits us, and it's actually a kick-ass service, so go ahead and check it out, audibletrial.com/lazy. All right. Real fast, Tony, any way that you want, if people want to reach you, best way you want them to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the comments right now in the Q&A, and I'm not sure if people are being facetious or they're really not sure if we're talking about Windows 10, not Windows 9. But if you have more questions, you can contact me directly on Google Plus, Tony Hannity's, or hit me up on Twitter, LTG Tony.
Yep. Rad, anything? LTG Rad? No, I was kidding.
Yeah. You can find me at Radcaster on Twitter. You can get a hold of me at radford@lazytechguys.com, or of course leave a comment comments at Lazy Tech Guys.
Perfect. Me, same thing. You can find me on this one here, which is SP. What's it? Sean Wilburn or SP Wilburn? Something. It's like it's attached to this Hide It Hangout. Also, LTG Sean. You can look that up on Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. So, anyway, thanks for hanging out. We'll be back next week with some more tech information, tech talk, and all that kind of good tech information. And with that, we are out. Have a great evening, everyone, and bye.
Peace.
Fading.